Hi there, you were going to come shopping with me on 3 different trips to Goodwill. I mushed them all together because the footage was kind of short, but 3 trips is better than one, right? This is the Royerstown Goodwill in Lancaster. I go here periodically. I thought that this was an interesting piece. It was $2.99. I think it was from a wedding. It's sand art, and I found it interesting that the design that they picked was a desert theme. So it makes me think, what was the theme of the whole entire wedding? Was it Sahara? Desert? Interesting. These had little potpourri balls inside of them, so I decided to leave those on the shelf. I thought this dish was pretty. I did notice a signature on it at the very last minute. I'm going to turn it over and you and I can both try and figure out what that says. I did think about it, but then it's just glass. It's on the thin side. It's concave, and that made me nervous to think about shipping it. So the party light little fruit, there's 2 apples and a cantaloupe. Votive holders I thought were a little bit easier to ship, and I thought they were cute, and also the leaves hadn't been chipped off. All 3 of those were in a bag, and I like that they had grouped them in a bag for one price. So even though these aren't super high sellers, I still thought they were sweet. And then I was seeing if this was a handmade stained glass piece. It was not. It did not feel like it was handcrafted. Here's a look at what the shelves look like. We're starting in the clear and white section. It's funny, I always start in this section at this Goodwill, but at my favorite Goodwill, I always leave this section for last. Isn't that funny how you are such in a habit of doing things when you go to a store? This is clear glass, obviously. It might be the cubist. I don't know these patterns off the top of my head. It was in really nice shape. They had a whole little set of it. But clear glass, unfortunately, does not sell, even though they did have the sugar and creamer. I thought this was neat. It had kind of a purple tinge to it, and I do know that comes from age on some pieces, from being in the window. The something in the glass changes with the sun. But I wasn't quite sure if it was truly that or if I was seeing things. I always like looking at craft kits. I was thinking about getting this one, but then I saw that it was already started, so I did leave that there. Those things are still there. There was a whole bag of them. I still don't know what those are. And then look what I found. And so I decided that Susie needed this. Well, all the dogs get it, but Susie is the first dog we've ever had that does not destroy toys. And so I'm always on the lookout for toys for her. And so I don't give her all 4 at the same time. We kind of parcel them out a little bit at a time, and she loves it. And then the other dogs learn not to destroy because she just plays with them, which is a nice change of pace. Here we are looking in the Christmas section. That red glass piece was plastic, so that is why it stayed there. The teapot is still chipped. It hasn't been fixed yet. I thought this was a neat little container. It was made in China. It was more contemporary, so that stayed on the shelf, and they had just one little panda bear. And then moving on, here were some more stained glass pieces, but I felt that they were more of those little craft kits that maybe you put them in the oven. Do you remember those when you were little? That you'd have those little things, little plastic pebbly things, and you would cook it in the oven, and then your house would be really stinky, but you'd have this really great stained glass artwork to show off. This little creamer was marked Mexico. I'm going to very carefully hold it with one hand and peel the sticker. You can see that they had another sticker underneath there. See, the sticker's green, but the other sticker's blue, because Goodwill tends to do that. When the colors change for sale prices, they will put the other different color that's not on sale on top. I've seen it happen. I've brought home stuff with 2 price tags right on top of each other. They're sneaky. But I still shop at Goodwill because you never know what kind of deals you will find. I thought that this was more a contemporary piece, more of like a Hobby Lobby Michaels thing. It was this giant bird, and there was only one. I felt like it probably had 2, maybe 2 would go with it. You just nail that on your wall. It was very large, so that is why that stayed on the shelf. And let's see what else is in this section. I'm not quite sure what color we're in. Every color aisle. I have something similar to this for sale in my store. I found the blue jeans, and then I also have a mug that looked like that. And then I found the top to a fairy lamp. I was super excited. Never did find the base. Isn't that pretty? I'm pretty sure that is a fairy lamp shade. I could be wrong. I found another vintage craft kit. I just didn't think that this was as desirable as the other vintage Christmas themed craft kits that I've picked up in the past. So I decided to put that back. The calico fabrics reminded me of my childhood. So that was a little trip down memory lane.
This is J.C. Penney's, and then it's Royal Hager. That's pretty. Oh, flower in there. It's pretty.
I was checking to see if the tape was going to take off the flashing, and it wasn't. This candy dish is in excellent shape. There's little to no wear on the flashing of the pink colors that you see there. It reminds me of a peppermint candy. There's no chips or cracks. Coming into the Christmas holidays, I think it would be an excellent addition to your decor, so I decided to pick that up. I thought this was very sweet, Holly Hobby, but I decided to not get that. It was $5, so I thought that was a little bit high, and I think kind of a minimal audience would want that, even though I do like Holly Hobby. My bedroom when I was a child was Holly Hobby. This is Boyd's Bears and Friends. Some of these do sell well. This was very sweet, a sweet idea of two friends, but I decided against it. For me, those don't sell as well. If it was a Halloween or Christmas, I would have thought more about it, but I decided to not get those. These were marked AJ on the bottom. I was seeing what that was. It was a Hallmark ornament. Obviously, AJ was keeping track of which ones were theirs. So I did thought about the Boyd's Bear figurine, but ultimately did not get any of them. Either someone donated all of their basket collection or Goodwill just put all the baskets together, which was nice. I was looking to see if there was any Longenberger signatures on them, and then of course I would look them up to see if those are good sellers, because I know some Longenberger baskets sell very well. You can always tell when other resellers have been at Goodwill before you because the price tags have been peeled back. I would assume just resellers would be peeling back price tags, not everyday shoppers. That was a neat little vase, but I decided also against it. And then I always check the bottom of bird figurines to see if there's any name brands that I remember that jog my memory when I see them. This to me, I picked this up and I was like, this looks like a Tom Clark piece, but it's not painted. And then I found when I turned it around, this is from 1984, it is signed Tom Clark, and it is of Shakespeare, obviously. I've found other ones that were painted, but I haven't found brown ones. And I do know a little bit about Tom Clark figurines, not a whole lot, but some. And I don't know why some are brown and some were not painted. So if you know why some were left brown, it's me, how many times can I say brown, that were not painted, could you let me know why? So I thought this was neat. I took a Shakespeare course in college. It kind of reminds me of my grandpa because my grandpa loved reading and had a love of books. He was an English teacher. And so I think that's maybe the main reason why I picked it up. And it was unusual, I thought. This was marked Czechoslovakia on the bottom. This might be Tango glass. I am not sure because I cannot find one that looks like mine. All the other ones have more of a ruffled edge at the top. I'm trying to point out a little chip that's hard to see on the rim there, and there is a little chip on that feather there. But I decided to get it anyway because one time I passed on a Czechoslovakia Tango vase and everyone let me know that I had passed on it, and how could I have done that? But I was just learning about that glass and I wasn't sure. So I decided this is pretty. It's marked Czechoslovakia. It does have some flaws, but I'm going to get it anyway because I think it's pretty. And once again, it looks like a peppermint and Christmas is coming. These were made in Turkey, I believe. I thought about them. There were only 3 of them, but again, with the clear glass, just doesn't sell very well for me. So that is why I did not pick those up. This was in a box, so I immediately was interested. I thought it was fiber art optic things, and there was a hummingbird and a flower, and I wasn't quite sure what was going on there, so I left that there. Coming up next is everything that I picked up on this trip to Goodwill. Didn't get a lot of things, but I'm pleased with what I did pick up. I'm going to also leave you with a picture of Susie. She got the Costco membership card first and was very pleased that she is finally a member. This is a friendly reminder that this limited edition merch will be available until Wednesday, November 15th, 2022 through Bonfire. Details are in this video's description. And now we're at another Goodwill. This was, again, a short visit. I didn't find too much on this visit. That is why I added it to this video. And then you'll come along with me on another short trip. So like I said in the beginning, I mushed them all together. We are at my favorite Goodwill. I'm pleased with what I found on this trip. Again, not a lot of items, but things that I am happy to find. Look at this. It's very, very, very faint, but there's a BBP, Beaumont Brothers Pottery, marked on the bottom of this tiny little crock. I thought it was very sweet. I like the graphic that they picked the grapes, and so I decided to get that. Whenever they have a big bag of Christmas ornaments, I always look to see if they look like they're made in Germany. I felt that these were more made in Taiwan or China, and so I decided to leave those there. Sometimes I do pick up new old stock of things, and so I was looking to see if this looked like something cool that someone would want, but I decided against that one and also the ornaments. And then I found this wooden plate, and thanks to Google Translate, I knew it was in German, but I wasn't quite sure what it said. I like the saying on the plate, so I decided to get that. Here was a dovetail recipe box, or a box maybe for your office, for your index cards. I decided to not get that. Maybe if it had a design on it. I picked up recently the ones that say recipes, or the ones that had the roosters on it. So because that was just a plain one, I did leave that there, even though it was nice craftsmanship. Here is a vase. It was not marked, but it was nicely done as well. And then I spied this sun tea canister. I've sold this before. I think the one I sold before, it might have been in yellow, I think. It works very well. It's clean. There's no chips or cracks. There's no smell, which is always nice. And so I decided to get the sun tea jar. My mom used to make sun tea all the time when I was growing up. And I remember one time I was in charge of like closing the jar, and I banged it down and I broke her jar, and felt so terrible. My mom's like, "It's fine. It's okay. We'll go get another jar. No big deal." So I do always remember that I broke it, but my mom was like, "Don't worry about it." Isn't it funny how things you see trigger memories? I love sun tea, by the way. Do you like sun tea? Some people like sweet tea. I like regular tea with a little bit of sugar. And then that was a quick trip. I told ya, here are the 3 items that I picked up on this trip to Goodwill, but we're going to go one more time. Don't leave yet. We have one more trip.
Later.
I was super excited to find this. This is Reed and Barton Lotus. It does have a lot of patina to it. It is silver plated, so the new owner might want to polish it up a little bit. I also found these little quilt block patterns, and I really like those. Back to the Reed and Barton, I was excited about that because it had the frog insert to it. And then later on another shelf, I noticed that that piece right there the frog goes on that one. So, and then here I am, there you go. So you can see how shiny it will be if you shine it up real nicely. And then I'm doing a terrible job of showing you the other silver pieces that they had. Let's just stare at this butter dish while I do shopping. There's also this piece here. This is my first video I ever made. No, it's not. But there were also candle holders that matched the lotus. And then there was this Mexico Talavera figurine. I always get them mixed up. Talavera and Tonala. And in my brain, Tonala means tones, light tones of color, and the Talavera is brighter tones of color. I temporarily used a basket that they had to keep all my treasures in. I'm showing you the frog and the candlesticks. This I thought about. It was a giant piece of lucite or acrylic. I couldn't tell if it had age to it, so I decided against that, and I think it is still at Goodwill. So I always think, oh, okay, I made the right decision. I left that there. I really like these, but they were all priced individually, even though the graphics were in great shape and it was really nice. They were $2.99 a piece. So that's why I left those there. All right, I told you it was really fast. Here's everything that I picked up on this trip to Goodwill. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed our little shopping trips. Thank you for your support of my channel. It means a lot to me that you watch this video. If there's something that you liked or I missed, please leave a comment below. I hope you're having as great a day as Susie is with her toy. Don't forget to read the description of this video for more information about the merch. And I'll see ya!